Today on Ridge Roamer, we're going to take a look to see if we can fit a Chieftain wheel in place of a standard Scout wheel. Now, I know the Rogue does come with a 19-inch front wheel, but I don't have a Rogue. I have a standard bobber. And I want to see if I can fit this 19-inch wheel off of a Chieftain, which I was able to actually get for free from a friend who replaced his with a different set of custom wheels. And so I'm going to see if I can get that to fit on my bobber in place of the 16-inch wheel that came from the factory. Now, the first thing, of course, is the fact that the Scout has a single disc and the Chieftain is set up for dual disc. Now, that's really not a huge deal. I can just leave one off. Ideally, I'd love to upgrade the forks and the brake system to be able to accept dual disc, but that's going to take a lot more work than just leaving off one of the rotors for now. Second problem is that the Scout comes with a 5-bolt pattern and the Chieftain is a 6-bolt. In addition to making the change from a 5-bolt brake rotor, you're also going to have to pick up, make sure you get a 6-bolt brake rotor off of a Chieftain. And you line these rotors up. They are basically the same. The Chieftain rotor is actually 1 millimeter larger diameter than the Scout, which shouldn't make a difference. So the 1 millimeter difference shouldn't be a big deal. We're going to go ahead and slide that guy on here. The other issue, though, is your ABS wheel speed sensor. They're not only 5 to 6 bolt, but on the Chieftain, they're a larger diameter. It's not going to work at all. So I looked at adapting. I don't really like the way they did their lug system here. Doesn't make it easy, but I think what we're going to end up having to do is see if we can get this one adapted to work on the Chieftain wheel. I'm not there yet, but I think the easiest way is actually going to be to take this off, put it on here, and then either cut out the center and replace it with a 6-bolt by welding, or sandwich it in there with another piece of metal, another kind of ring here, and then drill these out. So it won't be perfect, but maybe it'll work. We'll see. But first thing we want to do is now identify if with this 19-inch wheel off a Chieftain, if it'll go ahead and bolt up. So we'll get the stock wheel out of the way, and we'll see if this guy will bolt up. For now, I just put 1 bolt in just to hold it in place while we get this fitted up. I've got the brake rotor in. Yes, I know. It's not the right tool for the job, but you know what? Sometimes you just find what works when you don't have the correct size. Now that we've got the axle in, until it's not quite exactly the same as we were on the Scout wheel. And then when we look in here at the caliper, we definitely have a problem. It is not not lined up properly. So we're going to have to either shim the, well, we can't shim the caliper out because it's mounted on the inside. So the only thing we could do is actually machine down the mount. Don't really want to do that. So it looks like next thing we can try is changing out the spacer to give more room on the caliper side. There's no exact science here. There should be, but I'm just winging it. See if this washer in here will move it over enough that our caliper lines up. If not, I'll add another one. I did a little bit more measuring, a little bit more figuring, and ended up putting one thick washer spacer there, which I did drill out to be exactly the right diameter for the axle bolt, and then I also put one on the other side, and that seems to put the wheel and tire directly in the middle and spaces out everything properly for the caliper. The caliper, of course, floats as well, and when you spin, it's a little bit of rubbing, and partly because I only have one bolt there, it's not all secured down, but it seems like everything's gonna spin just fine. Now, looking at that, kind of wish the axle bolt went a little further through. I may experiment with pulling this side out just to get that in a little bit further. But priority is getting the brakes to work without hanging up. So, so will it work to put a Chieftain wheel on a Scout? Sort of. It's not quite right. Certainly wasn't designed for it. If you don't have an ABS Scout, it'd be a little bit easier. If you do have ABS, you're definitely going to have to address the ABS ring. But there's my experience in trying to fit this 19-inch Chieftain wheel onto a Scout. And this is if you want to know exactly, this is a 22 Scout bobber, but all the Scouts are pretty much the same. If you have any experience, if you've done it, if you've tried to do it, if you've figured out other solutions, let me know. I'm probably just going to go ahead and get a Rogue wheel so I can get a 19-inch wheel properly. Make sure everything is aligned from the factory and I don't have any issues. But I wanted to know if it would fit. I couldn't find any real resources other than a couple of pictures of one bike that did have one on there, but no explanation, no, details. So there you go. 19-inch Chieftain wheel on a Scout bobber. Sort of works. Going to take some ingenuity. Never going to be quite right. Thanks for watching. Ride safe. Best of luck in your endeavors. Subscribe for more content. Hit that like button. And I'll see you in the next video.